we're going to dive in and see how we can go ahead and migrate or import a design from Canva into the Customily interface and generate this customization for the shoppers. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Great. Okay, so we're going to see how we can create this product from ShineOn. In this case, we're seeing our demo store with this very cute Christmassy design where we can upload our own pictures and have them populate this elf design. So in this case, we'll see that the main focus or the idea behind this design is allowing the shopper to pick how many members are in the family. Based on that, this will show us a specific layout, as we call it, where the characters are placed according to the number of characters in the family, and allowing the shoppers to personalize this with photos. As we can see here, we can have the face cutout feature. Allowing them to enter text, enter a location, a date, and of course these photos can be adjusted on these little characters so that we can see how it will look like on that design. Let's upload our final photo here. So the idea is this: importing our Canva design with the elves and allowing the shopper to personalize this with additional photos. So let's see how we can manage this. Now we're going to go into Canva and we'll see that this is our design that we have created. In this case, we're using this elf clip art where we have the different characters placed in the center of our design and a little bit of text. So for the placement, that is for the location or place, a little quote and adding the family's last name and this little decoration. Now, the great thing about this is that you can use any designs that you like from Canva, any elements that you want to build out these designs, and then we'll just bring that into Customly. So to generate this, what we're going to do is, first of all, create the design. So we'll go ahead and click on Create New Design. And now what we're going to choose is importing the artwork. So in this case, let's name this elf design. There we go. And what we're going to do is choose the import from Canva. We'll choose this design here. There we go. And we'll see that this is already going to pick up on all the different layers that we have there on our Canva design and allow us to make them editable or changeable by the shopper. Let me see here. Okay. So as we see, this has picked up on the elements for text, the different clip art options that we had. And we're just going to select all of the layers so that we can import them in. So import. And now what we're going to see is some elements that we want to remain static. So the decorations that were on the sides of the text, those will remain static for the shopper. And then we want to make the text and the number of characters editable. So we're going to see how we can make those changes. All right. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes, perfect.
Perfect. I just wanted to check if I had connected. Okay, great. So now that we're going to import this design, basically here we're just going to make sure that the fonts are aligned. So I'm going to make sure that the harmony is assigned for any elements that have that font, and then the magneton for the other element of text. So we'll click on Import Design, and what this will do is bring in these layers that we were seeing on our Canva tab here. There we go. Perfect. Now, we have our elements of text here, so we're going to make sure that we name them as we want the shoppers to be able to see that label. So something along the lines of this: add family name, add subtitle, add place date, so that we inform them on what it is that they'll be changing there. So add date, name, place. Date and place, add subtitle, last family. There we go. And here we are going to also modify the behavior a little bit. So in this case, what I want to have the shoppers doing is just entering their last name and have the section of the already filled out. So for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this the prefix feature that we have. And instead of having them fill out the, we only want them to enter their last name and keep the as a prefix. So what this will allow them to do is basically enter their own last name and have the already there. Another thing that I want to make sure is that the font is always set to all caps, so that it always looks nicely with all cap letters. And I also want to modify this a little bit, the sizing, so that we have some wiggle room for the shoppers to enter more letters if they wanted to. So basically creating a little threshold of size so that it can shrink down if they enter more letters. There we go. So we're going to have the elements of subtitle, date and place, and last name. That's perfect. And now what we want to do is, as we were seeing here, keep the decorations as fixed elements. And now we will see that these images that are here are the little elves. So we're going to also name them so we know what it is that we have here. So elf 1, elf 2, elf 3. In this case, I am giving them those numbers according to the placement that we have, basically from the center to the outer parts of the design. Because as we have more characters, we want them to be added, but basically the main ones will remain the central parts of their design. And this will be elf 4 and elf 5. There we go. Okay, so we have our characters, but we want them to have faces. So for this, we're going to use the face cutout feature from Customily. So what we're going to use is an image placeholder that will allow the shoppers to upload their pictures. But in this case, we wanted to have this feature of allowing them to have just a face for the character. So under Effects, we're going to add the effect from Customily. So we can just filter that out here, Customily. And we'll use the face cutout. This is included, so it doesn't require any additional fees. It's included with the use of the app. And what this will allow the shoppers to do is upload their images and already have the face cut out. So this will be our elf 1 face. There we go. And now what I want to do is basically create copies of these for the rest of my characters. So I'm going to hit Control Copy, Control V. There we go. And now I have a new element. I'll do this for the rest. There we go. Perfect. We'll adjust it a little bit to fit the smaller characters here. There we go. And we'll name them. So this would be elf 2, L3, 4, and 5. I'm going too fast. If any questions come up, feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll be happy to make sure that everything is understandable. So far we have our design for 5 characters with all the areas for the photos. That's great. But we want to make sure that they can choose how many characters are in the family. So for that, we're going to use another feature that we have, which is called layouts. Now, layouts basically allow us to create different groups, implementing conditional logic so that we have this behavior that we were seeing here, where if I have more members, we can allow the shoppers to populate this with more images and have more characters in the design. So how do we do this? Well, basically, we're going to take all the elements that are the characters, so this central piece. As a side note, we can see that the name, the subtitle, and the place and date remain outside of the layout. So we just want to have the characters here. We'll select them and click on Create Layout. And this will be family of 5, let's say. So this is for when you have 5 members. Now, how do we go ahead and create these other groups for 4, for 3? So for that, we're going to use this. We're going to duplicate this group, so it creates an exact copy. But what we want to do is use this one for 4. Because I already have 5 characters, all that I need to do is delete one, and I will have my layout for 4. So family of 4. As we see, we have all the little elements here. And we're just going to delete this element here and adjust the characters so that it still looks centered if they choose 4. There we go. And we will notice here that when we have these different groups, when we duplicate, something that happens is that the ID number remains the same. Now, in this case, we wanted to have this, we want to copy these elements, the characters and the faces, but we want the ID number to be different so that it has a different behavior, so that it shows the shopper a different layout when they select that. So here we're going to assign it ID 2. And we're going to do the same thing for the layout for 3 people. So we'll duplicate and select here family of 3. There we go. We'll delete our 4th L here. And once again, adjust this so that it's centered onto our design. Perfect. And now ID 3. So as you can see, each layout has its own ID number and as many characters as that layout says. And the final thing that I want to do here is just make sure that I give it some wiggle room for the date too. So we'll make this font size a minimum of 200. All right, great. So I think that is pretty much it that we need for our design. We have our elements of text, our decorations, and our layouts for the number of family members. So we're going to save this design and apply it to the ShineOn product. In this case, we're going to choose apparel for this class. Let me know, guys, if any questions pop up in the chat. And here we'll go to the start section and we will create a new product. So for this, we'll choose our provider, ShineOn. And let's choose the Gildan. There we go. As we see here, we have the ability of choosing our variants. So if we wanted this to come in different sizes, choosing from different colors. In this case, I'll choose white, and we'll add the design. This is the design that we just created or imported from Canva with all the customizable bits. And we want to make sure that it's adjusted. This looks nicely on the sweatshirt, maybe a little bit higher, something like this. Perfect. And now I just need to choose where I want this on. So I'll choose my Shopify site. And this is going to combine the information from the design, choosing how many characters, uploading their photos, entering the names, all those features that we mentioned before, with the parameters from ShineOn, so that this is creating a printing file meant for the Gildan sweatshirt. As soon as it loads this information, we'll be able to play around with it, see how the interaction might be for the shopper, and then choose to either keep it as a draft or publish it directly on the store. There we go. So as we see, this is a preview. It's not live yet. It's for us to check it out and see how it's working. So here we can see this that we were mentioning. The is already there. And having our characters with the photos here. Now here, another thing that's good about this is that when we are trying it out as the shopper might, so that we can check the features and make sure that everything is aligned as we want it to be, this will also allow us to generate a little thumbnail so that we can create additional product photos for this, aside from the dynamic live preview that Customily will provide the shopper with. All right, there we go. So we'll save this as product image. There we go. So it stores that little thumbnail. Perfect. And here, if we wanted to, we can always edit our product details so that we can name this if we want it to be Christmas elf design face cutout. Perfect. If we want to change this, we can also generate the upcharge for this. So we can go ahead. In ShineOn's page, you will also see a recommended selling price. For now, we'll give it this upcharge here so that we're not selling it at a cost, of course. And then we'll save product. Great. And last but not least, we're going to see this feature that Toad was mentioning, which is the generation of additional mockups for our listing. So here we can see all the different presets that are available here. And then, as you see, this fills out this prompt that will feed into Nano Banana's AI image generation, and it will return a mockup. As Tina has mentioned a few times before, this is a tool that is free of use, and we can generate as many images as you like, play around with it until we arrive at a result that we like and that we want to have published. So basically here, when we go ahead and publish our product, what this will do is already create the Shopify product with the automated fulfillment by ShineOn and all the features that we saw today. So let's see how this works on the front end of the store here. Perfect. this has already picked up on my variant selection and everything. And then here, we can see that if we choose more characters, it will adjust accordingly as we want it to modify this. And then all right. And here we can also see that since we have cloned these elements, what this will do is also allow the behavior to carry out. So if they choose family of 3 or family of 4 or 5 and change, it will still carry out those photos so that they don't have to re-enter them each time. There we go. Let me just adjust that one too. All right. So that's pretty much what we had to see today. How we can import the Canva design, create all these customizable fields, and then have our product on Shopify with additional mockups and everything. And of course, the automated fulfillment by ShineOn so that this product comes out perfectly.